Happy October 6th, National Coaches Day. We're taking over National Coaches Day here at Gill Athletics Connections podcast, and it's October 6th, National Track and Field Coaches Day. That's right. You heard me correctly. To uplift and honor our coaches around the country and around the world at all levels, I decided to get a few of my Gill teammates on the mic here and just ask them what National Track and Field Coaches Day means to them, and what are some lessons and things they've taken away from coaches in their entire career that's now helped them in their professional career. So without further ado, help me welcome my teammates here at Gill Athletics.
All right, as we're celebrating National Track Coaches Day, I'm going to take it over. It's National Coaches Day, but it's National Track and Field Coaches for us here at Gill Athletics. Let's start with one of my best teammates I have here, our javelin specialist. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Hey, everybody. I'm Tim Glover, former javelin thrower, current javelin thrower, and sales manager here at Gill Athletics.
Awesome, Tim. And we're so happy to have you here on our team, man. You had such a blessing, and your knowledge of not only the javelin, which obviously is bar none, just your overall servitude towards coaches, man. We're just so happy to have you on the team here at Gill. Today is October 6th, and we're celebrating National Coaches Day, National Track Coaches Day. What does track coaches, National Coaches Day, what does it mean to you?
Oh, man. See, I've been very blessed and fortunate to have a lot of good coaches over the years. All my track coaches from when I was a kid all the way, even till now, I still have a lot of people who help me out. They've meant a lot because they just care about me as a person. They look after me as a person. They like to check in with me and see just how I'm doing as a person before I am as an athlete. And, I can't repay that. So, for me, I like to kind of pay that forward and pass it along. So that's really what coaches have done for me. They just allow me to give back to the community and show me really what that means.
You've had many coaches, a few coaches actually, through your career that I know personally have impacted you, in such a positive manner. When you think about your career, and you're kind of on your second stint here with us with Gill, and went on to another profession, and then obviously as a professional javelin thrower. Can you imagine, when you think about what track coaches have done for you as mentors and teachers and coaches and people towards you in your life? Could you imagine being where you are today and as successful as you are today without not only not doing track, but that means not being coached by track coaches?
Oh, no chance. Because, growing up as a track athlete, it was always, it's me versus myself, but having those coaches really helped me dial in with just, again, who I am as a person, just to push me and motivate me. There is no chance I am where I am today without all of my track coaches that I've really ever had.
I love it, man. Tim, thank you so much for joining us here on National Track and Field Coaches Day. We're going to take it over, man. It's no more Coaches Day. It's Track and Field Coaches. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
All right, and who do we have next here on National Coaches Day?
This is Courtney Ross Oates. I am from San Diego, California, now in Phoenix, Arizona, actually. I am a customer service representative at Gill. And I'm also still a Team Pacer athlete, and I work with the Team Pacer athletes as well.
Awesome. Well, we love having you on the team here, Courtney. And, today, October 6th, is National Coaches Day. And so we're celebrating here on the podcast, on the Gill Connections podcast. What feelings do you have? What do you have to say here on National Coaches Day?
Well, let me tell you, I've had a few great coaches in my career. Actually, how I ended up at Pacer was through kind of my life path, and which came from my coaches. So I have them to thank for where I've ended up in life. So actually, I've been thinking about this. So I'm from San Diego. I was the 2-time California state champ back in the day. My high school coach was Mike LeBou, and also Mark Johnson, which, fun fact, he lives in Iceland now with his wife. He's the guy who had the Superman takeoff. And then I went to college. I went to University of Oregon. I then left Oregon, and I went and jumped with Mark Vanderbilt, who is now the current coach at University of Oregon. I'm very jealous. Then I went to San Diego State, where I was with Rich Fox. And he is the guy who got me to love pole vault again. Well, I guess besides Mark. But Rich did a lot. He helped me along a far way. I actually was going to be a cop because Fox is a cop. And he convinced me to go and go into it. Ended up having time. Chris Mack out at the training center gave me a chance, and I actually PR'd by 1.5 feet with Chris Mack. And so then I no longer became a cop, or well, no longer wanted to be a cop. Continued pole vaulting. I ended up leaving, and I went and trained with Nick Hysong, the 2000 Olympic gold medalist, at Risen Performance in Phoenix. And actually, that was where my husband and I started living together. So I guess at the time we were boyfriend and girlfriend. But then eventually we got married. Life happened. I was with Nick for about 4 years, and then eventually decided, you know what, it was time to make some changes. And now I have the best coach of all, which is Trey Oates, my husband. And yeah, that's where I am now. And I've met a lot of good coaches along the way. And Brian Carell basically kind of started my relationship with Pacer. Although I've been a Pacer girl my entire life. So yeah. And yeah, so that's where I am today.
You know, Courtney, it's amazing when I hear those coaches, Mike and Mark and Chris and Nick. I'm probably missing someone in there. You know, those are highly impactful coaches that have had a positive impact on young people through their entire careers. As you look at where your career is today, you're still jumping, which is awesome. We love that and supporting you. And you're working on in our customer service team, so you're serving coaches around the country. Is there a particular, like if you were to jumble them all together, is there a particular lesson or attitude that they helped you see that helps you today as you serve others and continue with your own career?
Honestly, they basically made me realize that pole vault is only a part of life. And they helped me become a better person in committing to pole vault and basically using that intense training. And they kind of helped me realize that I can use this in my daily life as well, too. So like when I went and started jumping with Mark Vanderville, he basically just made me realize that pole vault is supposed to be fun. Like that's why we're here. And even with Trey, so Trey actually made me realize something this year, that we don't have to be doing this. Like, so he doesn't have to be out there. I don't have to be jumping anymore. The only reason we're doing it is because it's supposed to be fun. And so, yeah, so they've given me a lot of life lessons along the way, but Trey actually kind of made that pretty clear, because he was like, I don't have to be out here coaching you. You're not paying me. I was like, oh, wait, I don't want you to be mad at me. Hold on.
I love it. I love it. Well, Courtney, thank you for your thoughts and feelings on coaches around, you know, as we continue to uplift and honor coaches around the country and specifically in track and field. It's always great to see not only someone who has been coached, but is being coached and continues to coach others as well in some of your endeavors as well. So thanks for being with us today.
Yeah, of course.
All right. Who do we have next here on National Coaches Day?
Hey, my name is Carly, and I'm a pole vaulter out of Grand Valley State University, and I'm a sales rep for Gill Athletics here. I've been here about 4 months, and I'm loving it.
Awesome. Well, we love having you, Carly. Really do appreciate you having you on our team and being our kind of our inside pole specialist here at Gill Athletics. Today being October 6th, I'm going to change it to National Track Coaches Day. I need to narrow this down here. What does National Track Coaches Day mean to you?
Yeah, it means a lot. All the way back from when I can remember just starting sports, Little League. Coaches have always been a huge influence on my life. Didn't always start in the track world, but once I transitioned into that, about 7th grade, the youngest you can. I mean, all my coaches are just so memorable to me. I have middle school coaches that would send me postcards through my collegiate career just saying like, hey, we're watching you. We appreciate you. You're such a role model for the younger kids. Then when I went into high school, I got a club coach, got my high school varsity coach, and just having them follow my journey through college and still being present in my current life is just awesome. I think the relationships that I was able to build with my coaches outside of the track world just means so much. They, you know, your work ethic on the track transitions into your work ethic in your personal life and your work life. And without those mentors, I don't think I would be where I am today. I know my coaches, all of the coaches over at Grand Valley have just made such a huge impact on so many athletes. And, you know, they cycle through hundreds of track athletes a year, and they always remember your name. They have your phone number. They never ask or question, oh, you're on what team again? They just always know you were on that team in 2022 or whatever it might be. So they always make you feel important.
I'm struck by what you mentioned there of the coaches that you may have had for 1 year or 3 years or 4 years, different time periods, maybe just in the summer in the club, and how they have kept up with you throughout the times. These aren't one and done types of folks. These are people that seem to like genuinely care about you and your well-being into the future.
Oh yeah, you can tell that. Well, the coaches that I've been having relationships with don't do it just because it's on their to-do list for the day. They genuinely want to be there. They genuinely care about you, and they can see the growth in you, and I think that's why they still reach out to me. We have that relationship because they've seen me grow into a different person and how they've helped have a role in that.
I love it. I love you being on our team, and I love track coaches, vault coaches specifically here with you, and what the positive impact they make on young people around the country. It's immeasurable. Thanks for being with us today, Carly.
Of course. Have a good day.
Let's keep moving on with our teammates here at Gill Athletics. Today we've got another one of my great teammates. Who we got here today?
Hey, my name is Rob. I'm the West Coast sales rep for Gill.
Rob, we love having you, and we know from being a past guest of the Gill Connections podcast, your great relationship and history with track and field coaches around the country. Today's October 6th, National Track and Field Coaches Day. What does National Track Coaches Day, what does that make you feel? What does that deal for you?
Well, it just makes me stop and think about all the coaches that I've had in my career of running from middle school through college. And two that really stand out is the first club coach I had, Bill Harback from the Decatur area. He had such energy and passion that he brought even to the summer club. And he started his coaching in the mid 70s. He's still coaching today. I saw him out of the cross country meet just last week. That's incredible. The other one that comes to mind is my college coach. That was Ron Buss at Parkland. And he was on the very beginning of USATF coaching education program. And to see how he constantly wanted to learn and get better inspired me. And so that's how I took my USATF classes, was just by seeing him and knowing that he had went through that whole process and all the experience and knowledge that he had.
When you think back on that passion of those coaches, the continual learning from those coaches, do you apply any of those examples that they set for you in your professional life today?
Sure. I think, to have a great attitude and be positive and energetic about what you're doing is really important. And I think to continue to grow and learn in your professional life is important as well.
Yeah, that was an easy question for me to ask you, Rob. As I see what you do for our coaches around the country, your longevity is going to be its own history as you continue your career here. And then, you're continually learning on how to serve, how to be more of a servant leader to our coaches around the country. And that just, that makes us stronger. And so we're just so glad to have you on our team, especially here today on National Track and Field Coaches Day. Thanks, Rob.
Sure. Thanks, Mike.
Interestingly, throughout our entire company here at Gill Athletics, not just sales and customer service and whatnot, track and field coaches, their influence is felt through all of our departments here. And next up, I've got one of our teammates in our R&D area, Mr. Jim. Jim, why don't you introduce yourself for us today?
Hey everyone, my name is Jim Turchin. I've worked with Gill Athletics for 12 years in the R&D department. I've worked on several different projects, but I always enjoy when I get to work on track stuff. I ran for Valparaiso University back in the day after running for Batesville High School. I ran for, my dad was my coach in high school. Shout out to the Bulldogs and ex-coach Leo Turchin. We had some great teams back then, and that really just led to fun and just good college career, very fulfilling. Shout out to Coach Straubel there with the Beacons. Sorry, I had to get that right. I just want to thank both of them, my dad and Coach Straubel, for instilling, self-discipline, hard work that comes with being a distance runner.
Now, Jim, knowing you and having worked with a lot of different projects that you've been on, including the new Continuum C5, which is quite amazing, what you and the team was able to create up there in the R&D area. But I've also seen you literally with my own eyes practicing for something that takes a lot of discipline, hard work, sacrifice, and that's for an upcoming marathon you've got coming on. When you think about what your dad, I mean, what a lineage you've had with track coaches, what your dad coached and instilled on you in you, and other coaches at Valpo and others that you might have had. What's the? Can you think of like whether it's a funny saying or an example of a time that they, really had to pick you up and help you understand dedication and fortitude, continuing moving forward? That's what I think about in a marathon. Continue moving forward.
All right. The first thing that comes to mind was in high school, my nickname was Shorty because I always took shortcuts in warm-ups and practice and whatnot, just doing the bare minimum, least work needed to finish the warm-ups and whatnot. Like when it came to workouts and races, I gave more effort. But yeah, they called me Shorty. Just eventually just taught me that, it's the little things, the little details that you've got to put in the work all the time. In distance running, there aren't shortcuts. Whatever you put in is what you get out. So yeah, just learning that from them, and yeah, just trying to always think back on that, think back on all the miles you've put in when the going gets tough. Yeah.
Well, I tell you, as a teammate who counts on you not to take shortcuts, and as our track and field coaches around the country and the high school, college level who depend on, they don't even know you, but you are such a vital part. You can't take shortcuts when it comes to designing and creating new equipment. I'm just so happy that your coaches were able to see that and help you understand that early. And that's made a lot of people a lot better off, including yourself. Jim, thanks for joining us here today on National Track and Field Coaches Day.
All right, thanks, Mike.
All right, here on National Coaches Day, who do we have next?
My name is Dean Jordan. I'm from Bloomington, Illinois, and I am the construction estimator for the Gill sales team.
Awesome, Dean. And we're so happy to have you on that team as we continue to empower coaches with innovative equipment. As we sit here today on October 6th, National Coaches Day, what does that mean to someone like you and your athletic and professional background?
Yeah, I think in all my time, being coached, had a number of coaches. I think probably the biggest theme that I take away from my work with them is being able to communicate complicated things simply. That obviously translates into careers, jobs, family. It's really it's been a blessing to be around people that can take something that can be really, 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 really complicated and in as simple as one word or a sound or a gesture, and make someone else better for it.
Little known fact, you were a decathlete. So I can only imagine being able to take complex 10 events, and obviously inside of each one of those events, there's complexity. And with the work you do here, specifically with our construction equipment, so it's things that go in the ground, a lot of complexity with the buying process as well. How has that simplicity, or at least that lesson of simple is better than complex, how have you turned that into what you do here in your professional life with Gill Athletics?
Yeah, I think it's made me more, given me more of a tendency to be able to discern things. You're sifting through a lot of information, and you have to be able to pick what to emphasize, to explain to a coach, a contractor. If you have 30 items on this big order, you have to be able to pick what's important. So I've been blessed with the opportunity to learn how to sift through a lot of stuff.
That's awesome, man. You do a great job at it. And, no surprise that some of the base of your knowledge and skill set came with track and field coaches around the country that you've been blessed to be coached by.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. Thanks, Dean. Thanks for joining us here today on National Track and Field Coaches Day.
Thanks.
All right, as we continue celebrating National Track and Field Coaches Day here on October 6th, let's get on with our next teammate.
Yeah, hey, I'm Clayton Turner. I was formerly on the Gill construction side of things in our company, but now I've made the transition over to our basketball side. I was a thrower at Eastern Illinois University. I'm formerly from Tuscola, Illinois, and we're here to celebrate National Coaches Day.
Awesome, Clayton. We're so happy to have you on the team. I know you're not quote unquote officially on the Gill side anymore, but you'll always be, from your track and field background, you'll always be Gill at heart. But honestly, so happy to have you serving volleyball and basketball coaches around the country in what you do now on the Porter Athletics side. So just so happy to always have you here. So Clayton, it's October 6th. Big day. It's kind of like a holiday here for us here at Gill and Porter Athletic. What does National Coaches Day, National Track and Field Coaches Day mean to you?
Absolutely. Coaches are the backbone of sports. They're kind of the unsung hero. I mean, what you see on the field is kind of the embodiment of, or the track or whatever it may be, is kind of the embodiment of a coach. What coaches have done for me and my life has been paramount. From when I was a little kid to when my dad first started coaching me and putting a Gill discus in my hand, all the way through middle school and doing all the little track and field circuits when we were in middle school, to high school tryouts and high school meets, to ended up going up to college ranks. Every step of the way, I've had a coach who has put their athletes at the forefront, including myself. It was bigger than just them. They gave their all to us, and taught me life lessons more than just form or technique in a throwing circle or on the track, more life lessons than anything. And I wouldn't be where I am today, my profession in sports and with Gill Athletics and Porter Athletic, if it wasn't for the coaches along the way.
You used a very strong word there, paramount. That's a big word. That's not just big and a great, that's paramount. And it all goes back to your dad being your coach. And that's awesome that was that is your first coach, and all the coaches along that you've had in your career. Can you, as you think back to that and the careers that you've had and the career you are in now with us here at Gill and Porter Athletic, could you imagine where you might be if you didn't have track and field coaches that poured into you?
Absolutely not. Really, the first vote of confidence I got as a freshman in college, Zane Chapman, the throws coach, Drake, he probably has no idea that he made such an impact on me. But he looked at me one day at practice when I was kind of down on myself, and he really just pushed me and says, "I see something great in you. Like, why don't you see it in yourself?" And just kept pushing me. And that's why he's been so successful at Drake. He just knows how to work with young athletes and really get the best and the most out of them. So really without that, I probably wouldn't have done 5 years at Eastern Illinois, and maybe wouldn't have pursued a career in track and field equipment and basketball equipment and all this good stuff Gill and Porter has to offer.
Clayton, you gave us a good reminder there. You said maybe Zane doesn't even know the impact he's made on me. So I'm going to challenge you, and I'm going to challenge our listeners. And I know, we're here celebrating you right now because you're 99% of you listening right now are track and field coaches. And this whole episode is about thanking you and being grateful for you and letting you know how much we care and how much you mean to us. I'm going to challenge you, just like I am my teammate Clayton here. Let's not have any coaches that built you up, that mean the world to you, be walking around right now without knowing how much they mean to you. So I'm going to challenge Clayton, get a hold of Zane, and just a simple text, email. It doesn't have to be this big thing. Just let him know. Say, hey man, was thinking about you today. We were doing a promo for National Track and Field Coaches Day, and boy, you made a big impact in my life, and I'm so grateful for you. And you listening right now, press pause on the podcast and go. I know there's a coach that impacted you. Go make sure that they know what they meant to you and what they've done to build you up. All right, thanks everybody. Thank you, Clayton. Appreciate you so much for joining us here on National Track and Field Coaches Day.
Absolutely. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, everybody.
Throughout Gill Athletics, you know us as a track and field company, and that's what we're here for today on National Coaches Day, is for you, the track and field coach. What you might not know about Gill is our sister brand, manufactured right here, same people, same great facility here in Champaign, Illinois, also produces Porter Athletic basketball and volleyball equipment. And you know what? Track coaches have an impact on their side of the world too. So help me welcome a great team of mine, Mr. Don. Don, why don't you introduce yourself to us today?
Sure. My name is Don Wisnaski. I work for Porter Athletics. I work in as a project manager for the construction division. Best job I've ever had in my life.
Man, and we are so happy to have you, Don, you know, as a friend and a teammate of yours. It's just always great to have you in the same building as me, my friend. And, you know, you mentioned you're on the Porter construction side, so that's basketball and volleyball. But wait a minute, you've been impacted by track and field coaches through your career as well. Here we are on October 6th, National Track and Field Coaches Day. What does National Track and Field Coaches Day mean to you?
It means everything to me because track coaches and cross country coaches have impacted my life more than I'll ever probably know. Started in my 5th grade year. I met my favorite track coach and cross country coach. His name was John Hickey. We call him Coach Hickey. Everybody thought he was a mean teacher. I learned to find out that meanness only meant discipline and consistency in his classroom, and it bled over into the way he coached track and cross country. I was a little bit overweight, to be honest with you, when I started track for him in 6th grade. So he put me on shot put, disc, and some of the tails of some of the relays. It was with his encouragement and just talking to him and running that through my 6th grade year, my 7th grade year, I was able to drop so much weight. I dropped about 50 pounds and began my love for what I wanted to do with his track program was running long distance. And he encouraged me, and I don't think without his encouragement I would have done any of that. I went on to run for him cross country in 8th grade. I didn't think 2 miles is something I wanted to do, but you know, I was only a miler. But talking to him and talking to one of the elites at the time, they brought me on my 8th grade years. So, and that became the passion of my life, running cross country after that. So just with his direction, I learned that you can do anything you want as long as you put your mind to it and you have discipline and consistency to do those things. So he was a great mentor. Even after I went to high school, I went back to him and we always looked to him for inspiration and advice. Basically, he meant the world to me.
So great to hear what Coach Hickey did for you. You know, I hear words like you know, hard work, dedication, encouragement. Do you draw from Coach Hickey's mentorship to you in your professional career now? We're long past high school and middle school nowadays. Do you still draw on the lessons that he was working to teach you back then?
Oh, tremendously. Glad you brought that up because he was the first coach that would actually and I found this out during cross country, he would run every training course with us. Everything we did, he did. And it was at that moment that I learned that if you're going to ask your team to do something, you better be prepared to do it yourself too with them. So yeah, I learned so much from him, man. It's
leadership first and foremost is what I hear, Don, when you talk about Coach Hickey, and that's exactly what we think of our track and field coaches around the country. So Don, thank you for being with me today as we celebrate National Track and Field Coaches Day today.
You're welcome, Mike. Thanks, man.
Again, you know, as we look at our entire company, Gill Athletics with track and field, and maybe you don't know, but we certainly do, our brothers and sisters on our blue side, our Porter Athletic, and I've got another member of our Porter Athletic team who has been positively impacted by a track and field coach. Paul, how about you start by introducing yourself, please?
I'm Paul Moggett. I'm sales engineering with the Porter Construction Division and background in architecture, played some college football, but more importantly, I ran track and field in high school.
Awesome, Paul. And we're so glad to have you on the team. It's October 6th. It's National Track and Field Coaches Day. What does National Coaches Day mean to you?
Well, I reflect on my old high school track coach, Vic Jennings. He was also my football coach. He's in the Illinois Football Coaches Hall of Fame. But more importantly, he was the single track coach that we had. We had 20 some boys athletes. And he was a technician. He knew everything about each individual sport. Or event. He was old school. Discus, shot put, hurdles, pole vault. We sent kids to state and pole vault all the time. He was a real technician. I did not have to worry about what I was going to be doing at each track practice because he had an index card ready for me, depending on where we were in the season and what I needed to do. Now, I hurdled both high hurdles and 300-meter hurdles, which are two completely different races, but he trained me for both. In the off season, I went through strength and conditioning and built up my core for football, and it coincidentally helped me with my hurdling. I became a stronger hurdler.
You mentioned the technical side of coach, and even down to, I love that visual of the index card of what practice is today for the hurdlers or for you individually. Is that where, I've worked with you on several projects here, Paul. Is that where you get your technical and time management and just an organization from? That seems like a basis for you.
Exactly. That's absolutely true. I knew when I went into practice that I was going to be doing distance workouts because I was a 400 guy, a 300 guy, but I was also a 110 guy. So there were days that I focused on, short spurt distance work or sprint work. And then there were days where I ran a lot of 400s.
You remember those days?
Yes, but I had rhythm, so I was able to count in my head when I ran the hurdles. I had my steps down for the 300-meter hurdles. 25 steps to the first hurdle, followed by 15, and then slowly. By the last two hurdles, you're just trying to survive. So,
yeah, my goal was to survive just the entire race. There was no count structure for me. Paul, you've had an amazing lineage through that track, and that actually continues today. The track's not done for you and your family. Your son's actually running on the next level.
He is. He's at Illinois Wesleyan. He finished his senior year. He finished 5th in both hurdles. And he's got a little setback. He had an ACL tear, so he may be ready for outdoor season this year, but he's making major strides. So
no
really
pun intended.
Exciting. Yes, no pun intended. I've got another son that coaches track and field.
Yeah,
and he follows the same technician type approach. He tries to learn as much as he can about every event so that he's competent when he teaches these young athletes.
What a great example of the positive impact that a coach made on you, continues to make on your family, and continues to make on your children as they run track in college and coach track and field, man. Paul, that is amazing. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us here today.
Well, thank you.
And stay tuned. And it's me. I'm going to wrap it up. I'm the anchor leg on this. So stay tuned for my thoughts on National Track and Field Coaches Day.
Thank you to all my Gill teammates here, former athletes, coaches that have just been molded by high school and college coaches around the country. The positive impact that you make on a daily basis is immeasurable. And before we get out of here, I had to represent my coaches here on National Track and Field Coaches Day as I think about the many coaches I've had as bosses, as coaches of myself when I was an athlete. There's not many people who have the impact on me from family and friends and coworkers and bosses like my track coaches that I've had. I'm just so grateful for the time, energy, money that they put into me and my well-being and their person first type of attitude towards me. And thank goodness that they were filled with grace, that they had the ability to see past my mistakes, my errors in judgment, and gave me that second, third, heck, who are we kidding? 4th, 5th, 6th chance that I needed to become the man that I am today, the father, the husband, the sales professional, the track advisor, the track coach, advocate. I'm just so grateful for everybody that's poured into me and just want you to know the reason we put this together this year here on National Track and Field Coaches Day. You just need to hear it. You need to hear the impact that you make on people around the country. Every one of your athletes, many of them are not going to become professional athletes, but they're all going to become moms and dads, business owners, teachers, heck, coaches. They're going to follow in your footstep. And the impact that you have made on them throughout that process, as you have coached them, advised them, mentored them, taught them, well, that's what makes great people in society. And that is the impact that you make on a daily basis. And we're just so grateful here at Gill Athletics for all that you've done, all that you will continue to do, and all that you have done for the amazing men and women, boys and girls that participate in this awesome sport. So today, October 6th, our hat tips off to you. This day and every day is for you to say thank you, to be grateful to you, and just express our love for being a track and field coach. You could have been a lot of things, and we're just so grateful that you chose a track and field coach. Have a great National Track and Field Coaches Day here on October 6th.